I'm so excited that my starting location was not my final destination. Growing up, I experienced many obstacles. I overcame many struggles, but even in the midst, I found light and triumph. I know people said that I wouldn't make it. I know some thought that I wouldn't amount to anything, but I pressed on. I ran my course. I made it. I'm here. This podcast will show people with similar struggles and journeys who defeated all odds. Make sure you watch, make sure you listen to the English Lit Podcast. We back, man. The English Lit Podcast. We are here. We made it. Man, I'm so excited, man, just to be here. So excited, man, just to be kicking off this episode, just to bringing everyone out there in my world. For sure, man. It's been a long time coming. You know, man, I had this vision. I had this dream. Shout out to God because I went to him first. I said, man, I want to start a podcast. I want to be able to tell my story, tell my journey to just different people all over the world. You know what I mean? I want to give real, raw, authentic conversations. You know, a lot of people have been hearing me asking me like, you know, what's the podcast going to be about? Are you going to touch bases on this topic? Are you going to just stay on controversial topics? My podcast is about showing people that you can overcome the struggle, like through everything, through anything, because you looking at me right now, I've been through a lot of stuff, but thankfully to God, I made it, right? I got a lot of things kicking off this year, man, and we're just in the month of February. A lot of things kicking off for me. And I knew that the first thing I had to put in my mind was just being consistent. I think sometimes as people, that's the hardest thing to do. It's just being consistent in what you want to do. Because we can find ourselves just being stagnated. We can find ourselves just being lazy, not wanting to do it. But I knew in my mind that, okay, if you went to God with something, you got to also put in that work as well. You got to be consistent in doing it. So, I have a lot of great people to interview lined up that I'm going to be kicking off, dropping, episodes after episodes to you, letting other people share their stories, letting you hear how they overcame some things. And it could probably help you all as well, or just somebody who's listening. I don't want to just kind of look at this like this the normal podcast. This podcast can ultimately save somebody, right? Someone might have been going down a dark path and might listen just to what I said or what someone else might have said. And, man, this can help them. So I'm excited, man. I thank God for my wife. I thank God for my family because, my 3 kids and my wife, they have all been behind me, supporting me. I thank God just for the people in the community who just gave me the push. So I shot the first video in the bottom, right? So if you from Lincoln, I'm from Lincoln, born and raised out of Lincoln. I went back to the bottom. I said, man, I want to go where I grew up at. And when I got there, a couple of them cats, they were asking me like, dang, Booger, man, you ain't gonna be dissing this issue. You ain't gonna be talking about this issue. But I think in life, you can never forget where you come from because where you come from, that shapes and design and makes your character. Not only did I go to the bottom, but I went up to my Aunt Mert house where I grew up as well. My Aunt Mert, she took hand in raising me. Forever grateful for that. So I went to the places of where my childhood began. And like I told them guys, man, I would never diss where I come from, right? I definitely, want to keep working on myself and keep building my character and ultimately be a pillar in the community to help build up the community, not to tear down the community of having to say something negative of where you're from or anything like that, because where I'm from made me. Those tough times in my childhood of going through poverty and witnessing a lot of things, man, at an early age that a lot of people probably couldn't even imagine, of seeing things, seeing broken households, seeing abuse, seeing drug dealing. A lot of people don't know when I was about 8 years old, I was robbed at gunpoint. Me and my sisters and my father. So those things that only made me stronger. I always tell myself that, man, with these shoulders, I can carry anything. And I got that from one of my homeboys. Shout out to Al. He told me, man, with your shoulders, you can carry anything. So, and I believe that, not just with my shoulders, but man, with just God, man, by your side, you can do whatever. So I never forget where I come from, but ultimately I'm going to be working to just try to be a pillar in the community to help um, build up the city. Because one thing about me, man, I love my city. I love the people in it. From First to Second Avenue to 30 Road to anywhere in Lincoln, man. I'm good. And I love my city, but it's so much work to do, not just in the city, but on the outside of the city. And man, I use the phrase English lit. The lit is for light and triumph. That's saying that you can still shine. You're still going to be that light. You're still that light in the middle of that triumph. Even if you went through the darkness, even if you went through, man, hell and back and high waters, man, because it's going to be a lot of times in life where you're going to question yourself and you're going to doubt yourself and just really going to be able to see, hey, man, can I stand? And at 32 years old, I went through that. I went through that phase in my life of just kind of not only questioning myself or doubting myself, but just having that fear. So what I started to do was I started to pray more. If you knew me, I've always been in church, but I was I was I was in church, but I wasn't fully in church, if you get what I'm saying. I didn't have that prayer life. I didn't have that time that I was spending with God. So as I got older, I started having kids and started having a family. I wanted to kind of just change that narrative. I started to pray more and really started to being able to hear his voice. And I think, he would take doubt and fear. Man, if you got dreams, he'll put all that away. We don't have to fear nothing if we got him. And that's what I believe. I believe I can do anything, right? Um, just with this podcast, right? I started this set, man. Me and my son, we painted this and we bought stuff at Hobby Lobby, and I'm like, bro, we gonna take off, man. And there's a lot of people in the city. There's a lot of people on the outside of the city, man, who have stories. Man, it's gonna be some stories that you're gonna hear. I promise you, man. It's gonna bless you. And I'm excited. I'm excited to kick this off. I'm excited just to, learn and listen to different perspectives as well, because you can't be just one-sided. You can't be a one-minded type of person. It's always different perspectives to life, and goes back to whatever you believing in. Be consistent with it. Don't stop. Keep going, and that's what I want to bring to you all. If you're watching this, if you're listening, I want to just bring consistency. I want you guys to listen, but also being able to pick up just something from it. I don't care if whatever gem is dropped to you, that's to you. But as long as you got something from this, I'm not trying to be like any of the other podcasts. I set myself aside. I'm designed by him, so I can't be like anybody else, right? I got my own identity. I know my identity, and I thank God for that. But I'm excited, man. It's been a long time coming. And I've always been like a talker. So this was never like anything to be nervous about or anything to just kind of second guess myself about. Because, man, for years I had been tossing and turning. Like, I want to do this, I want to do that. But I'm like, man, you got a voice, you have a story. And as time go on, I'm going to share my story. I'm going to open up because I want you all to be able to, get to know me throughout this journey. To anyone who's liking this page, anyone who's subscribing to this page, I want this to be like family. I want you guys to ask me questions. I want to open up. I want to be honest. I want to be transparent through everything. And I'm super stoked, man, and just happy that God allowed me to do this and that I can bring this to you all. I got some amazing gear on that we're going to be dropping pretty soon. We have the EnglishLIT gear, as you can see, the hoodies. We got the hats. Man, we're going to have shirts. We're going to have a lot of stuff that's going to be able to, for you guys to purchase and order. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to what life has to bring and what this podcast has in store and this journey that's not only going to help me but bless others as well. So I feel good. You know what I'm saying? I feel good, man. Shout out to everybody who just sowed a seed into me, just encouraged me just to kind of keep going. I appreciate you. I appreciate all my friends. I appreciate all my church family. I appreciate my immediate family. Just thankful for you guys. Just thankful that, when I told my cousin, man, J1, shout out to J1 and Taisha. I said, bro, man, I want to do a podcast. Man, people were just so into you, just blessed me with this mic. So, man, I thank you for that. And I'm looking forward to many more things to come. So if you could, please like, comment, subscribe, share. Follow me on all social media platforms. Facebook, EnglishLIT Podcast. On Instagram, EnglishLIT Pod. On my YouTube page, EnglishLIT Podcast. Make sure you tell a friend. Make sure you guys all follow. Make sure you get with the program, the EnglishLIT Podcast. We are here. We are made it. Make sure you tune in for many more to come.